So what if your destiny wasn't some fixed path you're just forced to walk? What if it's more like a destination, one that you choose with every single thought? Today we're going to dive into a really fascinating idea, the concept that your consciousness, not your circumstances, is what really dictates your fate. Okay, let's get right into it.
Our source kicks things off with a pretty tragic story. You have a young mother, not even 30 years old. She finds her husband in bed with another woman. Absolutely heartbroken, she takes her own life and the life of her one-year-old daughter. But then the author makes this really shocking claim. This isn't suicide, it's murder.
That's a powerful question, right? I mean, if it wasn't the husband, and it wasn't the other woman, and it wasn't technically the mother herself, then who, or maybe what, is the real culprit here? The answer to this is pretty much the key to this entire explainer.
Well, here's the big reveal. The killer, according to our source, wasn't a person at all. It was this invisible, incredibly powerful force that the author calls traditional thought force. And this is an idea that has been shaping human lives for, well, thousands of years.
So, what exactly is this thought force? You know, the best way to think about it is like a mental prison. Its bars are made of all the cultural ideas, traditions, and beliefs that we just inherit without question. You know, things like a good wife should do this, or this is what success has to look like, or you can't bring shame on the family.
And here's the most crucial point. This force, it pushes us down these paths that just feel like fate. It convinces us there's only one way to react to any given situation, and it traps us in the cycle of predictable outcomes. It makes us feel totally powerless. But the whole point of this is that these outcomes, they aren't inevitable at all.
Which, of course, brings us to the solution. If a thought force can build a prison around you, then a simple shift in your own thinking, your own consciousness, can be the key that sets you free. Let's take a look at how this actually works.
Okay, let's go back to that young mother for a second. The constricting thought she had, that her life was over, was a direct product of that traditional thought force. But what if she had adopted a liberating thought instead? The source suggests a few, like, you know what, this is no big deal, I'll find someone better. Or even a more playful, okay, now we're even. With just that one mental shift, the entire tragedy is just gone, avoided.
Here's another really powerful example. For centuries, this idea that not having children is the ultimate failure has put this immense pressure on people. That's the prison. But the liberating thought, it flips the whole script. It says, hey, the Buddha called this world a sea of suffering. Why would I bring my child into that right now? I'll ascend to a higher realm first and then give them a much better life there. And just like that, the pressure completely vanishes.
And here's a third one. The idea that sex outside of marriage is the worst of all evils. I mean, this thought force has caused so much shame and suffering over time. But the liberating counterthought? It's a total reframe. Love is a gift from God. To enjoy life's pleasures is to show gratitude. And this just brilliantly shows how a shifting consciousness can expand your personal freedom and totally transform your reality.
Okay, so we've seen the what, but now let's break down the how. How can one single thought have such a dramatic, real-world impact on our destiny?
The core principle is actually pretty simple. Your consciousness is the cause, and your actions are the effect. We usually think it's the other way around, right? That we have to do something to change our lives. But our source argues that if you don't change that underlying consciousness first, all your actions will just lead you back to the same old result. The real change always happens in the mind first. Now, this analogy makes the whole concept crystal clear. Imagine your consciousness is set on a destination, New York. Every train you book, every step you take is leaving you there. But then, somewhere on the journey, you have a flash of insight and decide, no, I want to go to London. In that instant, the entire destiny of arriving in New York is completely erased. The path, the outcome, all of it. Poof, it's gone. Your new destination is London. It's really that simple and that profound.
This quote just sums it all up so perfectly. The difference between a life of suffering and a life of freedom, it's not some long, hard journey. It can be an instantaneous shift, the result of just one single new liberating idea.
So, this idea of a mental shift is really just the beginning. Our source actually outlines a more structured path to mastering your reality, describing a kind of hierarchy of consciousness, which it calls the 8 ladders of thinking.
And here they are. This framework basically maps out a journey of consciousness.
It starts down at the bottom with material thinking, where you're only focused on the physical world. And then it moves up through stages like associative thinking, where we make new connections, and even psychedelic thinking, which is all about breaking out of conventional patterns. The goal is to climb this ladder, and each rung gives you more freedom and more power to consciously create your own reality.
Now, the ultimate goal on this path, the very top of the ladder, is what's called formless thinking. This is described as being the state of a Buddha, a state of total enlightenment where you're completely free from all those human thought forces and societal programming.
So all of this leads to a very challenging final question. I mean, if you can truly alter cause and effect just with your mind, what are the limits? Could this power actually override something like karma?
Our source poses this question directly. We're often told that certain actions, like corruption, for example, have inevitable karmic consequences. But can a fundamental shift in consciousness, climbing to that highest ladder, just simply erase that cosmic debt? The answer given is, well, it's pretty mind-bending. In the state of formless thinking, the very concepts of self, other, and even corruption just dissolve. There's no form. So if the idea of corruption doesn't even exist in your consciousness, if there's no I to be corrupt and no thing to be stolen, how can a consequence even arise? The root cause, in the mind, is gone.
And with that, the author leaves us with this really enigmatic line. It's kind of a challenge, right? It suggests that the deepest truths of this philosophy can't just be taught. They have to be understood through your own journey up those ladders of thought. So what do you think? Can a single thought truly change the world? That's the secret we're all left to uncover for ourselves.